So Sal, you never took a calculator when you were younger and did the boobs thing. Have you?
I mean,
everybody's done that.
Yes, but
there's like
a
the
text
whole
message
equation,
is
like
different
do this,
from a calculator.
this, turn it upside down.
So to give some context,
Fucking mind blowing. When the first time you see that as a kid.
Oh man, I thought it was hilarious.
For people listening, if anybody is listening, tell them what happened.
No, so Sal gets here and he asks what the code is to get into the building, and I told him 80085, which is
boobs
on a calculator.
What a fucking rookie, Sal.
I know. I mean, I couldn't believe you couldn't pick that up.
Yeah, text message is different from a calculator, but okay.
But if you look close enough, it does still look.
After he's told it, I'm like, fuck.
Anyways, no Brad today.
No Brad today. What's good?
You gonna chew gum the whole time?
I still am scared of swallowing gum.
Well,
I don't know how you do that every single time. It freaks me out a little bit.
You swallow your
I'm a
gum?
fucking swallower. I'm a champ.
Yeah, well,
what are you gonna say?
I can see that.
Yeah, I bet you
Does
spit.
anyone else swallow gum? I spit. I spit my gum.
That's sociopath stuff. But
Swallowing gum?
Yeah.
I just did it.
Sociopath, I can see that.
I didn't see. Well,
speaking of,
apparently
with
I'm
our topic today,
I'm the least emotionally intelligent person.
That is true. He's
with the biggest ego, that douchebag with the podcast. Haters.
The Professional podcast.
They're all right.
Bro thugs in harmony.
So this week I commented on some shit. Bro sales culture is dead. Nobody cares about your fucking ping pong tables at the office. Somebody's posting this on LinkedIn. And of course I comment like, hey, to each their own. And they're just like, yeah, coming from a host of the Professional Development podcast.
That was awesome.
Trying to defend bro sales culture.
I know.
We're not even broy, I don't think. You're a little broy, but not me.
You don't think you're broy?
Do you think I'm broy?
Bob's,
Did you say bro?
Bob's for sure broy.
I mean, I do
am.
listen to Dave Matthews. So.
Yeah.
What makes me broy other than Dave Matthews? Is that the giveaway?
CBC.
CBC. God damn it. My parents couldn't even afford that shit. I think they're still paying that
I feel
off.
like broy is more that
That's how mine
fraternity
is,
vibe
yeah.
sometimes. Like,
Public school all the
not
way.
as you get older, but like the...
What, because
when
I was
you're-
in a frat? That makes me bro?
No.
I wasn't a frat. I quit the frat.
Like the stereotypical
Which is
frat
even more
guy.
bro.
How come?
I went more as like mainstream, like not mainstream.
Mainstream?
I was more like deep cuts.
GDI. Goddamn
I was
independence.
one of those GDIs.
Yeah.
I actually man, there's some crazy college stories after that. I just thought of a night where I punched out some taillights
Of a fraternity you didn't like?
It was the fraternity that was basically in our backyard. We would hit golf balls at their house from our front yard.
Nice.
Yeah, we were. So
Wait.
maybe that does make us bros.
So you
even
actually
though
were
we were
able to...
trying to be anti.
You were actually able to break the light with a punch?
I had an extreme amount of alcohol in me, and yeah, I was able to punch out some taillights.
I'm gonna bring a
And
taillight
I still
in.
have a little scar on my hand from that, and luckily I didn't. Nothing worse happened. Like I could have gotten in some serious trouble probably, but.
Yeah, that Bobby didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, hopefully no one from KA at Mizzou during the years of 2009 to 2013 is listening to this.
No, we can edit it.
Rich,
that.
just leave it open. Give him my address.
What are you
I'm
doing?
not tough at all.
What are you doing, Dan?
Me?
He's getting ready for the podcast.
What do you mean? I have my notes. I'm ready to go.
Dan kind of has
I'm just
a
bringing this
mustache.
up because, yeah, I do.
Do we got anything in particular? Like, what's up? What's new? What's going on in the world before we want to get into the topic? Like
No,
nothing?
I've just been working my
I
balls
mean-
off, so my life has been that lately.
Sick brag, bro.
Yeah. Work has been super busy. I don't even know what's going on in the world outside of sports, really. Is there anything crazy that's happening?
I don't know.
I haven't even had time to
What's-
watch sports.
What's Brandon up to?
Don't know.
He's doing good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go, Brandon. Are gas prices still high?
It was
Yeah,
it was 288 this morning.
Well, no, here's-
288.
Well, I mean, they're releasing like some of the reserves, so it should bring the prices down. About time they did it. I
Is that
guess.
Trump's call?
No.
No.
It was a save our chances at the next midterm call, I think.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, Matt?
Man.
You were just in OKC,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, she's fine. I mean, I didn't really get to experience it.
That football bar that you were at looked pretty dope.
The football bar I was at was sick. It was in the Omni Hotel,
Oh, damn.
which the Omni is like. So the suite we had rented out upstairs is like where all the away players that from the like they play the Thunder, like where they would stay. So it was pretty sick because Bowen's been putting my buddy Savio up there for months. Like it was supposed to be a 3-month contract. So he literally lived out of this hotel when he was there. So he had so many points racked up that he just got the badass suite for it after he proposed and did the thing. So it was cool. Didn't really get to experience too much of like OKC, but I don't know.
I don't know what there is to experience there unless you just go to a Thunder game.
Yeah, right. And they suck. So
right,
not a lot going on there. Dan, what are you doing? Doing some more research? Why don't you participate in this conversation?
I mean, I just don't care about your story.
Yeah, that's a sign of emotional intelligence.
His emotional
I thought you
intelligence
talked about
is super high.
Didn't you have an inspection yesterday?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You made some big moves.
Home inspection, yeah. So haven't closed on the place yet, but
okay.
Gonna get a new place. So I gotta give myself a crash course on how to Airbnb
I saw that post.
because I'm gonna. Yeah, I need
You got
to.
28 days or 27 days or something like that.
Yeah, January 5th is when I'm set to close on the place. So I'm excited, but I'm also like, we're so busy at work that it's like, I don't know how I'm going to have time to do fucking anything. Yeah. So
One of the things that, I mean, let's just make this all about Matt right now, but virtual assistant, you just hired one recently that's been generating some leads for you.
oh yeah,
Right?
Erica
So,
from the Philippines, she's a fucking G.
fuck yeah.
If I can quote you, it's a Filipino princess.
Sounds about right.
I think it was a typo.
Is this actually an arranged marriage type deal?
Yeah, it was a typo. She fucking generating me leads. She's sending me fucking appointments.
Dude,
I don't give a fuck. I'll call her Princess Erica. I'll call her whatever she wants. She's fucking killing it for me.
You know something really funny? Speaking of when you were down in OKC, I was on the phone with Shelby, and I love her, but sometimes she's not the brightest crayon in the box.
Mm.
And she goes, "Did Cresco get engaged?" And I go, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I was like, "You know that dude is single." And she was like, "Well, I don't know. I just saw these pictures." And I was like, "Yeah, with 2 other people. It was his friends." And I was like, "I don't know. Maybe he just found someone really quickly and wanted to wife her up." And I was like, "Yeah."
Gotta
No.
move fast.
He keeps saying it's
No.
time.
It's it's almost time. It's, we're more aggressively playing the field, but you can't rush these things at 34, right?
I mean,
Can't run as fast.
That's a fair point, man. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that Princess Erica, the Filipino princess, is working out for you.
She's fucking killing it, and it's awesome. Yeah, Dan and I, out of nowhere, or Dan's got a whole email marketing campaign going. He's got a fucking army of lead generators. I've got a lead generator, and it's just like the easiest thing in the world in the recruitment world right now to just pick up business. So now Dan's hiring 2 more people. I'm hiring another person.
All VAs.
No, because we need people to close the fucking deals now.
Right.
So
You're
now
getting
it's
the
like-
appointment set. Now you just need someone else to run it.
Well, contracts are being signed like left and right. It's
Fuck
just
yeah.
we need people to recruit these folks and start making some placements, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty toast right now,
Yeah.
mentally.
Yeah. And emotionally?
No, I mean, we're talking about emotional scores. So to dive in, our topic today is...
Go ahead, Dan. Take the reins, buddy.
I will, because I didn't know if you were ever going to get to it.
Okay.
If you were aware of what was going on right now or
No.
not.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
So the topic today is going to be emotional intelligence. And to kick it off, we were going to do this one assessment that Matt sent out, but
I did
you
it.
to download a virus and pay $10.
So
I paid
here's the thing.
$10.
So only one person did it.
I found an assessment off of psychologytoday.com. Seemed like a very credible source. Obviously, just the only
I mean,
credibility was
anybody can buy a domain.
It had psychology in the domain name, and it was one of the top on the first Google page. So that's credible enough in my opinion. So
They got $10 out
send
of
it-
Bobby, so their SEO's
send
working.
it to
You actually paid?
I sent it to the
I
group,
paid $10.
I sent it to the group,
$9.95.
and it's a 45-minute assessment.
I literally
Did you
I
do
got
it, Matt?
Come
Did
to
you
find
do the
out,
one that you
nobody
sent
did
out?
it besides Bobby. Bless your heart. I fucking feel bad, Bobby. I
It's
wanted
all
to
good.
do it.
Now I took the time to do it, and it was actually really interesting. It threw out. I'll tell you this. I don't know how far anyone got into it, but
Well, we didn't get past the download stage.
Yeah, 70%. So there were so many different like weird type questions that actually made you think. It was 150 or 160 questions, I think. Is what
145.
you got to 145, maybe.
No, that's how much that
All right.
said.
That's how many there are.
Thanks for fact checking me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sal,
That's why you're here.
put him in his place.
That's fine.
Quit
I-
lying to
I
the
earned it.
audience.
I know.
Fuck.
I just like to exaggerate sometimes, but it was interesting to go through. And I got back from dinner with a coworker at like 10 o'clock last night, and I sat there and I was like, I have no time to do this tomorrow. So I pulled it up and at 10 o'clock, and it didn't take me 45 minutes, but it took me a little bit over 30 to go through it all. But it was interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, so Bobby ended up doing it, and Bobby's such a sucker for a marketing ploy. And they gave him like a tidbit of information about what it means.
I wanted more.
And then said,
If he
pay
sees
this
like
extra
a-
$10.
I wanted
And
more.
you can know who you really are.
Have you ever bought anything off an infomercial?
No, I don't. No.
How many?
Sham
How about
wow.
Instagram ads?
I don't think so. I mean, most stuff on Instagram, like I'm getting the ads of shit that I've already bought.
I bought
feel
one.
Like, it's just like
I bought
it's like,
one
guys,
thing
I already
of, that,
signed up
of
for
an
that.
ad like that.
You wouldn't believe. I was looking for a Peloton recently, and then I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, that is not an asset. That is 100% a liability.
Yeah.
So I literally took it off my list of things that I wanted to do, but I'm getting Peloton ads out the ass right now.
Yeah, I bet.
I'll probably get
stopped
them
it.
now that we're talking about it. It's
Yep.
crazy, the ads that you get after you talk about something.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fucked up, actually.
Big
So-
dildos.
It's redonk. Really big dildos. Can
You
I
guys don't
tell
get those?
Can I tell?
You guys know?
Can I tell a dildo
What?
story real quick?
Yeah.
So I've been interviewing a lot recently, and my admin's been scheduling just a ton of stuff for me. And this lady comes in, and she's sitting there, and I ask her, and I won't get into her whole story because I don't know if she would listen to this. I think she knows that this is a thing. And I asked her if she's working right now, and she's like, "Yeah, well, no, well, I don't really like to talk about it." And I was like, "Well, can you tell me what you're doing right now?" And she's like, "Well, I work with Pure Romance." And I go,
What's pure romance?
Pure Romance. And she goes,
What is that?
she goes,
Oh, I'm an ambassador.
she goes, not the dildo side of Pure Romance, though.
She just straight up said.
And I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, okay. And she had some personal things going on. And she's like, I'm more on the wellness side of things, and people like me need to figure out how to. And she like started talking about how I assumed she was about to start talking about how she has to
Express
has to
herself?
pleasure herself
Sexually?
yes. And then I was like, so anyways, like, glad that you have something that you're doing right now that you're passionate about. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I get out of my interview, and Kylie's like, so are you gonna fire me? And I was like, she was definitely being sarcastic, but I was like, let me just tell you what this chick brought up while we were in there talking about it, and she just couldn't get over the fact
Damn,
that she started talking about
homie.
dildos in the interview. So that was a fun one.
Yeah. Who doesn't like talking dildos in interviews? That's
Just talking
We had
man.
a client come up, and we unfortunately couldn't find, nobody wanted to work there. And basically they were like CBD cream for like your bean or your nips.
oh my God.
It sounds awesome.
It's crazy.
So
Did you use it?
Their ad, like literally their ad on LinkedIn was a cartoon of somebody eating somebody else's ass. It's insane. We had to send that shit to candidates. They're like, yeah, no thanks.
I can't wait till all my Instagram ads come out over the next week just by talking about this shit.
I will say
Pure
that the ads that I get
romance.
are usually like yachts or helicopters or something like that.
Sick brag, bro.
I talk a lot about yachts and PJs.
Can you buy a
I'm just
yacht?
kidding.
Like,
I've been looking
off-
at boats, and that's why.
I think it's called Yacht Vana. You can just go pick one up.
They bring it to you.
No, it's like Carvana. It's like a
It's an
vending
underwater
machine for
vending-
yeah. You swim up to it, and it just comes to the surface.
yeah.
All right. So we're going to circle back. We did do an assessment, though,
Okay.
all of us, and it was only a 15-question one. So it was 1/10.
I did that one too.
And so I knew taking it, I would probably score pretty well, and Matt would probably score pretty poorly. And so we took it, and the results, it was a scale of 75. Matt scored pretty poorly, and I scored pretty well. What was your score? It was 52?
Your emotion, it was 52. So it says your emotional intelligence level is ... okay, which is honestly better.
I'll take it.
Better than I thought I'd do. So you probably have a good relationships with some of your colleagues, but others may be more difficult to work with. Dan, yeah, that's accurate. The good news is that you have a great opportunity to improve your work relationships significantly. Read more below to boost your AI still
Pay
further.
$10 like Bobby.
Pay $10 to learn the secrets.
We can fix you. Yeah.
What do you think? Did
so we
you think
took
that
that.
was accurate?
So I don't know, dude. It was just like the test took 2 minutes. So you can't trust a test to take 2 minutes by rating yourself on a highly likely, average,
Well, there's
unlikely,
a formula.
highly unlikely.
Anyways, so then what we did is we had Jenna, who works for me and has done some stuff
Shout
in the
out to
podcast
Jenna.
early on. Take
Big
it
Bears
as
fan.
if, like with her interactions with Matt and her interactions with me, and my score was 10 points higher than I had rated myself, and then Matt's was still pretty low.
Mine was like 10
you're
points
saying
higher,
Jenna did one.
It was consistent.
As if she was you, and then as if she was Matt.
like yeah, basically.
And so Matt's was close. Yours.
Mine
It was very
they
similar.
were
We're
both
10 points
They were
higher.
both 10 points higher.
Oh.
She basically, yeah.
So-
You can't have somebody else take those. Anyway.
Well, no, I mean we just needed to confirm.
So let's just move to quotes. What quotes do we have on emotional intelligence? I'll just take the wheel back, Dan. Thanks.
I have 2 today. So there's this first one that I got is from this guy. It's actually an Instagram story that I posted recently. It's this guy, Jason Capital, and he's apparently a top 100 entrepreneur, and he's written a couple different books out there. But the quote comes straight from this video. It's, "I can't offend you. Only you can offend yourself. This is how the brain works. I might be the catalyst. I say something, and you have a thought about what I say, and that thought creates a feeling. If we're training the culture to think, I can offend you and you can offend me, then we're training them to be victims. You saying basically saying you have no control over your emotions. Someone on a screen is controlling how I feel. If you believe that, you have no chance at succeeding in life." Which I thought was
dope.
It was a brash one, but it was like, this is fucking real.
I like that a lot.
And I showed it to a lot of the people that are in my leadership circle at my office. And everyone was just like, yeah, fuck yeah, that makes so much sense. And I'd be the first one to say that, like, has that happened before? Like, where what someone has said, like, has affected the way that I feel? Like, yeah, we've actually talked about it in, like, multiple podcasts about someone saying some stupid shit, and then we just kind of go off on them or whatever. But thought it was a really relevant quote, and definitely one I can post on the pod later.
I love that. I think that's, and I wasn't expecting like that type of quote, but it's good. I mean, that's exactly what it is. If somebody says something about you, they're the catalyst to you becoming X emotion, right? They're not the actual reason. Like what that said didn't, like you allowed yourself to become that way. So that kind of segues into my quote a little bit, which is, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And that was Viktor Frankl, who's from the book Man's Search for Meaning, which I need to go back and read that. But it's a good one. And it kind of, like I said, it piggybacks off yours, Bobby, where it's just like, and I know for a fact, we can all, I mean, I think we all can, but it's like, I know for a fact I have a lot of growth to do in this area, where it's like, I can be like emotionally triggered by what somebody not just says, but like the acts leading up to that, and then them saying something, to where it's like, okay, you got to use like the logical brain every once in a while and like really start to delineate, okay, how should I respond to this that's going to like favor me, right? Not just like, okay, they're going to know I'm pissed off or I'm angry or they got to me or whatever, but it's like, what's going to truly benefit me, like what way I respond.
Right. It made me think about the time that you said that you were going for that run on your final day of 75 hard, shirtless, feeling awesome, and how you just wanted to like motherfuck the guys outside of Duke's that were just like staring you down as you were running by them.
Yeah. So it was the last day of 75 hard, and I'm not like a like run shirtless guy. And I was like, fuck it. I was like, it was like 80, 90 degrees. I was like, last day of 75 hard. I was like, who knows if I'll ever fucking look this good again. So I ran with my shirt off. And so I'm like at the home stretch of this run, and like these guys are at Duke's, sitting outside of Duke's. They got a beer in one hand, cigarette in the other, and all three of them were just like staring at me with these fucking judgy eyes. And I was like really close to fucking saying something.
Really?
Because I was
Do you
just,
remember what you were gonna say to him?
yeah.
Maybe not
What?
appropriate.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't appropriate, but it was just more along the line. And then I like went back and I was like, dude, that's so fucked up. I'm like, what if those dudes were just like, man, that guy's pretty fucking jacked? Or what if what if they were like, fuck this dude running shirtless. Who the fuck does he think he is? Like, what a douche. Either way, like I'm choosing to respond to it. And more importantly, I'm choosing to respond not knowing what the fuck they're thinking because of my own self-doubt and fucking insecurities.
Yeah.
I might have just been thinking, who's that hottie?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So my quote is, when dealing with people, remember you are not dealing with creatures of logic, but with creatures of emotion, by Dale Carnegie. So to your point, right? Like that was an emotional response. It wasn't logical to say something at that point.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And I think that you see that a lot, especially like when dealing with people. We are emotional beings, and things that are said make us feel certain ways, or things that happen make us feel certain ways. And so whenever I was doing the research on emotional intelligence, you know, and I'm kind of moving forward pretty quickly, I found that there's 5 like core pieces. But Matt, did you find 4?
Mm-hmm.
So the 5 that I found were self-awareness, self-regulation, intrinsic motivation, empathy, and social skills. And I know that yours might be a little bit different because there's a couple of different ways to look at it, but I saw multiple pieces that had those same 5. And one thing that really stood out to me is like emotional intelligence starts with understanding your own emotions, right? That's the self-awareness. And then by being able to manage them, that's the self-regulation piece. Then you can use them to achieve your goals, which is the intrinsic motivation, where it's kind of, you know, self-awareness is realizing what your potential is. And then the regulation is saying discipline, right? Like that's a big one of self-regulation of saying like, if I want to get in shape, I know I can't eat cupcakes or whatever. Like that's a regulation piece so that you can reach your potential. That's the intrinsic motivation. And by doing those pieces, once you can understand your emotions and regulate them, you can understand other people's emotions, which would be the empathy piece. And then finally, you'll be able to use the understanding of the other people's emotions to influence them, which would be the social skills piece. And so I think, you know, I think that's a good way to like break down the 5 in a short summary.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, we probably, we read different things, but I think there's a lot of alignment there. So self-awareness was the number 1 thing that I saw. So it's about deeply understanding your emotions so that you don't become overwhelmed by them, right? I think in anything, in any type of change that you want to make, it's just awareness of whatever that change should be is always the first step. So there was self-awareness, and then that dove into, from there, actually self-management. Once you're aware of it, you can start to manage yourself and how you react to your emotions, keep yourself in situations which you'll know you'll be able to behave correctly. And then so the first 2 are all self, right? And then it's the social side. It's the outside world, and it's social awareness. So once you can manage your behavior and understand your feelings, you'll know how to read the emotions of others, and you'll be able to know what makes people angry, what makes people sad. You're better able to like recognize like body language and how that's affecting them and what they might be feeling, or like their tone of voice, stuff like that. And then relationship management, understanding your own behaviors and the behaviors around you enables you to build strong relationships with the important people in your life. So that's kind of like the scale that I saw. And I think that's from the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
Who that was there's one guy that I was looking up that has written like all of the emotional intelligence, social intelligence. Do you know who that was by chance?
No.
All good. I was just curious.
So
Sal, did you have a quote?
No.
That's okay.
It's
you
all
didn't,
right.
you didn't need to come with it. So the one guy that pops up, at least in the book that I was doing, was Travis Bradberry. Is that no?
Not who I was thinking.
Okay.
But there's obviously a lot of books out there on this stuff. I just kept on seeing one over and over again whenever I was looking up different books. Because I was trying to think of some books maybe that I've read that was more about emotional intelligence than I actually thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't really come up with any off the top of my head. I know Bedros Koulian talks about it in Man Up, about I guess making all of your decisions not based off of emotion, but based off of logic, and trying to remove emotion from a lot of the decision making. And even though that can be like very dry, it's definitely a smart way to conduct business so you don't lose your head.
Yeah.
Well, they do say that people with higher emotional intelligence are more likely to get hired, get promoted, make more money. Why do you guys think that is?
Yeah. So, but going off that, that's a good point that I think a lot of people know now, but if emotional intelligence is new to you, it's something that's like, it's the reason why EQ or emotional intelligence just exploded over the past like 5 to 10 years, is because that they came up with these tests to really understand people's level of emotional intelligence, and they were seeing that IQ is a good predictor of who's going to do good in school. EQ was a predictor of who's going to be happier and more successful in life. So, sorry, Dan, ask your question again.
I don't know. Oh, my question was like, why do you think that is? Like, to your point, more successful in life. Why do you think that is? For me, I think the self-awareness piece really sets the foundation of knowing where you're at and regulating yourself in whatever environment you're in, so that you can start to figure out that motivation and start to try to influence people to help you, achieve your goals and whatnot. And I think that is like, and I had this funny story I wanted to tell over self-awareness actually. And it's, so I coach hockey I coach my son's hockey, and they don't play on skates, it's just floor hockey. And I show up, we get this email this week, and they say, hey, some parents have been consuming alcohol on school grounds, and there's a zero tolerance policy. So there may be somebody there to like check to see if your parents are drinking, which I find is hilarious. And so, so I show up, and this guy I've never seen is there, and I figure, well, he might be like one of those guys. And he's like, what's up, coach? And I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? Well, I guess it was one of the kids' dads. And so we're doing a practice, and then we get into the scrimmage at the end. They just love to play a little game, and we stop them and work on positions and whatnot. Anyways, this dad, I don't know, he was totally normal for the first half, and then his self-awareness went right out the window, and he literally got up and he just started running around playing hockey with the kids, like in the middle of practice, like serious, like deking them. And then he wanted to play goalie, and he was playing goalie like Dominic Hasek, like a little kid shoots, and he like does this glove save and like
He's
lifts his arm up.
Billy Madison on him.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there, and I have 2 assistants that work with me, 2 other dads, and we're like, what in the fuck is happening right now? I was like, should we knock this dude out and like drag him out slowly?
Oh my God.
and like we look over at the other parents, and they're laughing because this guy is just,
yeah.
And so after the practice, one of the dads was like, yeah, I mean, they need to make sure people aren't doing or drinking any alcohol, but also not doing any cocaine before the practice. So, because this guy, but that was a self-awareness thing and I actually, lack of self-awareness really bothers me in people, where it's just so blatantly obvious that you don't care. Like when people blatantly run a fucking red light in the city, which happens all the time. It's like, you don't care about anybody but yourself. Like you have no awareness of anything else that's going on. I know you guys have probably done it, but
yeah,
whatever.
Welcome to the city.
That's why you have low.
Yeah, no
stoplights
shit.
are optional in the city.
I literally ran thousands of stoplights in the city.
So why? But
Fuck
so
you guys.
Well, not like where I run straight
You've
through.
probably seen me going like that.
Well, so I not like run straight through. It's like I'll stop
I don't run
at
straight
it, and
through
then
it.
if there's no one there, and it's
you
like
treat
the
it
middle
as
of
a
the night,
stop sign.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the
So
same
like a
thing, not putting
rolling
your shopping
stop.
cart back, or you know what I mean?
Those
like,
people are trash.
throwing trash just straight out your window. Like, have you ever
I
seen
can't
it?
stand
Have you ever
littering.
seen like somebody just straight up throw a whole entire bag of fucking fast food
it's insane.
right out their window? Like it was not like it's fucking nothing.
And
Because
it always happens, just so happens to be people that end up parking outside of my house. So I fucking run over it and have to pick it up. And then I got to see Burger King and be like, damn, should I get Burger King?
You look in the
you
bag
touched-
a little bit.
you touched
see
the
if they
glass,
got
you
any
had to throw
extra
it away.
chicken nugs.
Just see if it's warm. You know,
Were you emotional
fuck
about
it.
it?
Yeah. So why do you guys? So going back to what I was saying, why do you guys think that is true? That now they're seeing that people with a high EQ are having a higher likelihood of success as opposed to people with high IQ.
One of the things that came to mind with this is I think like to kind of piggyback off of what Dan had said, maybe piggyback can be our new word that we put some money in a jar for. I think it's one of our faves.
Sure.
But as far as these leaders who are more self-aware, they usually tend to be a little bit more vulnerable too, and have a good idea of not only what. If you have employers out there that are just expecting people to be these worker bees and work 9 to 5 every single day, I think a big part about like what makes your guys' company's culture so great is because you have a lot of flexibility and you understand what's going on in their lives. And I bet each of you could probably tell me what like personally is going on with a lot of your employees, right? Having conversations and being human. So I think that goes into, as far as leadership goes and people that are having success in business, whether they're entrepreneurs or they are C-suite executive type people, I think they're people that are vulnerable and in touch with their employees.
Sure.
Yeah, and to parlay on that, it's kind of like the understanding.
Piggyback off it.
Ooh, parlay, nice.
That
Did you
used
just
to be
look
my
up?
word.
Dan's been saying parlay since episode 1, bro.
Exactly. Come on.
Dan's been
Get your shit
Dan's just
together.
over there looking up synonyms of
No,
piggyback.
parlay is my go-to. Okay, so with that, I think understanding other people's emotions or understanding your employees or understanding the people around you and what makes them the best version of themselves and then promoting that, I think that's where, you truly become like a leader to a degree because you're always doing things in best interest of other people. And so they start to build trust with you and now you have influence over them with your goals. And so it's a give and take thing. But I think that's part of the reason.
Yeah, and I think it goes personally and professionally, right? So if you look at, success and I guess just emotional intelligence in general, it's about relationships, right? Emotional intelligence is about the relationship with yourself and about relationships with other people. And if you look at the number one indicator for happiness out of any area, money, size of family, like your upbringing, it's about relationships. The strength of your relationships dictates the level of happiness that you and fulfillment that you'll achieve. So IQ is like, I can sit there, somebody can spit some information out, I can learn it and I can repeat it back. Or I can do this equation, right? And there's obviously more to that. There's some critical thinking aspects in terms of IQ, but EQ, your ability to regulate your own emotions, right? Your ability to not allow something to completely ruin your day because it happened, or like if somebody's having a really bad day and they're venting to you, your ability to be that active listener and diffuse that a little bit for them, right? So I think that's why, because it's all about relationships, whether it's like, it's a wife, it's a girlfriend, it's a friend, it's a colleague, it's a client, right? Your ability to build rapport and relationships is just going to make you more successful.
Agree, 1,000%. Sal,
What's up?
what are your thoughts on emotional intelligence, man?
I kind of agree with what Matt just said. Like, to me, it's like, I have, like, back in the day, we've always heard, like, street smarts and book smarts, which goes, like, it's similar to what EQ and IQ is, because, like, street smarts, it's like, all right, you know how everything's going around the streets, how the community is. Book smarts are just going straight to, like, profits, economics, and all that stuff. But, like, if you have someone that has the balance of both, that's, like, the best thing to me, personally. So,
Yeah,
like, for me, like, I always build my relationship with friends, make sure how they're doing, how their family's doing, always checking up on them. That's how I always go by it.
And that's so true with Sal. Sal will I remember seeing Sal for the first time like during volleyball this past year, and he just was like spit out all this stuff that he like remembered from the last time that we had talked, and I was like, holy shit, this guy like he's got like a CRM with all my information just right there, like ready to talk to me. If he was selling something, I'd be buying. But yeah, props to you on that, man.
That's
I
cool.
recognize that for sure.
and so like I think that there's a lot of people, and myself included, that didn't do very good in school but are solid entrepreneurs or business owners or whatnot. And I do think IQ, well, I don't know the definition of what an IQ test is, but I would think it's a lot of critical thinking skills, like problem solving, something like that, which can only get you so far because, to your point, relationships and your influence that you have over people. I think that's why you do sometimes see business owners who have been very successful, but once you start talking to them, you're like, well, this guy's not anything. There's not much special about him other than the fact that people like him a lot or her a lot, and because we're all kind of, normal people.
Mm-hmm.
You just put some people on a pedestal sometimes because you see their success.
Yep, 100%. So, one of the things I just thought about that I read in there is like one of the biggest determining factors of a level of high emotional intelligence is getting feedback from people. So, well, before I go into the other question, it's like, how often do you guys get feedback from your close circle?
I ask for feedback all the time. Like I always, maybe not from you
Really?
because I don't give a fuck what you have to say.
Really?
But like,
Highest level of emotional.
I'm
intelligence
gonna bring
on
in
the
my whole
podcast.
fucking team, and I'm gonna be like, have I ever asked you to give me feedback on something?
What was your
You know?
score on that short little test? What'd you get?
61.
God, you're fucking.
Very emotional intelligent. I know. Anyways, but when I work with clients, I'm like, hey, if I'm sending you something, like be critical. Like tell me where I'm fucking up or tell me how I can do better. Like I'm always looking for how can I do better with managing or, in fact, it's funny. Bill, who's the guy that pretty much runs the day-to-day for me, whenever I think the first time he had come on board, I actually gave him I downloaded something on the internet that was like a management test that was released in an article. And I was like, hey, I want you to take this. And so he took it. And, there was some critical feedback that I could do better managing him, and that was just asking like, how can I get better? Because I haven't fucking been here before and I haven't done this before.
Yeah.
And so always asking for that feedback from clients on how we can do better. How can I provide more value?
Yeah.
I think that's asking for feedback.
No, it is. And I think that's so super interesting because it's like, we always talk about like getting better. We always talk about like surrounding ourselves with better people. But I think one of the most, and I do that, like I do that with clients. I would say like in my interpersonal relationships, probably not as much because I don't think about it, right? But it kind of like shocked me. I was like, that's so simple. Like you should be asking for feedback from everyone. Like everybody like on our podcast, and I'm going to integrate that when we do our goal planning for next week. Give feedback, personal feedback on everybody, right? Doesn't have to be as nuts as it was the last time that we had a little feedback sesh, but in all reality, it did a lot of good things. You know what I mean? In the long run, obviously better ways to go about it, but it's something where it's like that's the easiest way to learn how you can get better. And probably for me, it's just I don't know why I didn't think of it. Probably because the whole big ego and thing.
Because you already got everything under control.
Yes, yeah. I got it fucking all figured out.
But I think for me too, like even if I ask for feedback, so like if I go to like my mentor and I'm like, this is what I'm struggling with, he'll be like, here's what you need to fucking do. And then 3 months later, well, I told you what you needed to do, but you haven't done it. And so I think that you can get feedback, but how fast do you execute on it? Typically you get the feedback and then you start thinking about it and maybe manifesting a little bit. And then all of a sudden it becomes your idea. You have to make it kind of yours with that feedback too. So I can ask for feedback all I want, but then I have to figure out like, well, what can I do to make this like align with myself?
Are you going to take the feedback?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think everybody at first, well, not everybody, but I think it's very rare that somebody gives you feedback and you make an immediate change.
Yeah.
It's something that I've done a lot in my business, asking people, hey, is there anything that I'm not doing right now that you wish that I was, or something that.
Can I ask you something though? Yeah. Because there are times I do that a lot. Like I'll do that with employees, I'll do that with clients. But I also realize that sometimes I do that just not like subconsciously. I just like say it because I like this is the right thing to say. And then usually there's not much, or I don't even know if I want to say listen, but it's like, do you just do that because you're saying it? Or do you actually do that with the intent of like, okay, I need to hear how I'm doing and I want to get better?
So I literally did it multiple times today.
Yeah.
So I have right now what we call our MIPS, our monthly income planning sessions, and it's just a stupid fucking acronym, right? But the intent is to figure out where other people are at, and then I always close it out with, is there anything that you guys need from me? Like, and then I actually today I was like literally, is there anything that I'm not doing that you wish that I was doing as far as just in my position? Because I'm still new in my role, in this new role with Aflac over the last 5 months. And I asked people that. I had a call with my mentor today and asked him, do you think there's anything that I need to be doing differently right now? And then there's a couple people who have given me some ideas. There's a lot that kind of brushed that off because I think maybe they see it as like an opportunity just for them to be like, oh no, you're doing great. And they don't want to like ruffle any feathers. Mm-hmm. So I think there's probably a better way to ask for that and figure out if you can actually get some good feedback, because I think people are prone to have that response of, hey, you're doing a great job. And it's kind of that maybe not bullshit, but there's like, they don't really want to put in any active thought to it. But where
people are afraid of offending people.
Yeah. Where I see value in that is like my personal relationships and asking asking Shelby, asking like it made me think mostly of my parents and my siblings too. Like, is there anything that I could do to be like a better brother, to be a better son? And like actually, like my dad would probably be like, "You're the best ever," but my mom would probably actually be like, "Yeah, if you could fucking bring us more food like often, or like buy me better gifts," like is like where I see her going with it. But yeah, that'd be a really good thing for people to do, and I think that demonstrates a super high level of EQ.
And I think, if you're worried about the person that you're asking for feedback giving you fake feedback just to not hurt your feelings or something, you can always reposition how you ask for the feedback. Like you could say, hey, the person that was in this role before, what were some things you really liked about what they did? And then compare that with, am I doing that? So I think there's always a way to like go around that, but you have to brainstorm it. Depending on the situation.
For sure. I think that's a good takeaway. The idea of feedback, implementing that more. Again, it's the most direct thing that you can do in order to get better.
Right.
And understand how you are and how you're interacting with other people.
I think one more thing on that is be a little bit vulnerable. So there's a lot of stuff where I know I have my whiteboard at work of all these things that I need to do that I have not done to improve the different processes that we have in place currently for certain things, whether it's for our veteran associates, for our new associates. And I'll own that with them and I'll say, listen, I haven't gotten this to you and that's on me. I'll just let them know, hey, this is one of the things that I promised I would do for you and I haven't done it yet. Just know that I'm working on it and here's my deadline. I set deadlines for myself and I communicate those to people so they know this is when you can expect this by. I did that for whenever I was hiring an admin. I missed my deadline. It was October 1st was what I was telling everyone in the office. We will have someone in here by October 1st to make life easier. And November 8th is when she started. But the idea of that, I started looking for people, but it wasn't until I'd had a lot of conversations with some people that were in my organization till they said, hey, why not this person that is actually already with AFLAC, but they have not actually yet started. So I don't know. I think that that's something that a lot of people could do as well, as own up to their shortcomings. And I think that will build a lot of trust with people as well if you're vulnerable.
Vulnerability is a hot topic right now, and it is something that not a lot of people are good at, myself included. Like, hate fucking looking like I don't got it together. We all kind of ego. Okay, Dan?
I think I'm pretty.
It helps me with my imposter syndrome because then I'm like, I'm not an imposter. I'm admitting that I suck at this.
Dan, are you vulnerable?
Yeah, just this week we had Matt and I had a client that kind of pulled the plug on one project and wanted to use us in a different capacity, and I just straight up said, "Hey, I get it. We were supposed to do this, and we're still going to bring you the value that you paid for. But I get where you're coming from, and we didn't do what we said we were going to do on that one, and that's the truth. I mean, so."
Is there a reaction?
Is that being vulnerable?
I think that's owning up to the fuck up instead of being like, oh yeah, well actually you're in a 6-month contract and you still owe us money.
Yeah.
Letting them pull out because you know that you're not.
Yeah. Oh, that's owning up. Yeah. But I would say, yes, I agree 100%. That's owning up to it. But I think there's a difference between just owning up and being vulnerable. Is there? Maybe that's a whole nother topic we can get into.
Maybe we do a pod on that next week.
Yeah. There's some similarities on it for sure. I think, there's similarities, there's differences. But ultimately, well, how did that go? So what was their response?
No, I mean, he was like, hey, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate you not just like, a lot of times people are surprised that you do that because not many people do shit like that, And then they're like, oh, did I fuck up by like cutting ties with this? Oh, no, I still want, because he could have just said, hey, we're going to cut ties. But no, after I said that, he was like, well, no, I mean, we still want to work with you guys, where he probably was thinking this is going to be a difficult conversation and we're going to cut it off. But instead, right after I said, no, you're right, we could have done better or whatever, he said, well, let's keep working together. Let's just work together in this capacity versus that capacity,
So we'll maybe table this and look at this for a future podcast. But I would love to do this one, not just because it's a hot topic right now and it's something that I'm working on personally, but also I don't think Brad's ever been vulnerable in his life.
No.
I don't think Brad has fucking ever shown anybody like an ounce of fucking.
So I think what we need to do is, start writing down over the next week, even listeners, like where are some places where you could go to somebody and say, hey, I'm sorry I fucked up, like, and put it on you,
A
right?
vulnerability challenge.
Yeah. Well, and just kind of going off today's episode, right? It's like it all starts with yourself, working on self-awareness, working on understanding your emotions and trying to pause before you react to them, because you got to really, from what we've talked about and what we've learned, you've got to be able to control yourself before you can start to have a hand in controlling other situations. And if you want to help other people, again, it all starts with yourself. But go out, try to get some feedback from some people. I think that's the biggest takeaway I have. Like, sit down with a couple people that you're close to and tell them to be as real and as fucking like raw as they possibly can on like where your shortcomings are, and try to take that without getting offended.
All right,
Roast
we'll
me.
meet tomorrow morning, Matt.
You know what? I'm a little busy. I got some fucking shit. Yeah.
Should we
the
just-
holidays. Contact
just-
me after the new year.
Christmas.
Should we just have a series where we
Hanukkah.
do a roast of each of us on the podcast?
Sure.
I think Brad would go below the belt immediately.
Of course he would.
He's not invited.
Brad only goes for the fucking jugular. Yeah. But you guys got anything before we wrap up? No. This is one of those topics where 30 to 40 minutes isn't going to cover it all. A couple of books. There's a ton of emotional intelligence books, but there's some with the test. So EQ and EQ 2.0 are some that I had and some that I'm going to revisit if you want to kind of see where you stand in terms of emotional intelligence. And then it'll actually give you feedback on how you can improve and little ways to do that. So I would say, biggest takeaways here, start to work on yourself, work on your own emotional intelligence before you want to move on to others. And then grab some feedback from other people, see how you can improve. And then if you guys obviously have any questions, hit us in the DMs. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe,
Smash that like button.
download, undownload, re-download, so we can get some, maybe get some sponsors one day.
Listen on other logins, like whatever you have to do to help us get some more listens.
Yep.
Bing bong.
We appreciate it, guys.
Deuces.
So yeah.
Later.